Hey guys, coming at you today with a recipe that has been driving me insane since 2020. I've done so many experiments for this and I finally figured it out. A delicious, sugar-free, keto toffee recipe. So, let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, thanks for joining me. My name's Alycia and I'm a pastry chef with a sweet tooth, and now I own a keto gluten-free bakery, and I'm here to show you all the tips and tricks on how to make the best sugar-free keto recipes possible. So if you enjoy my content, please hit the subscribe button down there, give the video a thumbs up, leave me comments, share with all your friends and family. It all helps me and my bakery grow and bring you new recipes every Saturday. Today, a recipe that seems so simple to put together. And back in 2020, I did some research and there were some recipes that were keto online, but they never mentioned the fact that it kind of like crystallizes and gets like sandy when you make it. And I tried a bunch of different ways to get it to not be sandy back in 2020. And I did make a recipe for my chocolate cinnamon heath gelato, which was a recipe that I had from an old pastry job, but I'm probably not gonna have time to do a heath gelato this summer. So I'm bringing you the toffee recipe and making it into a real looking heath bar, but sugar-free. It's just a few ingredients. So that's why it was so frustrating when I kept trying it with allulose, which is now what I know is the best thing for like caramelizing sugar because it doesn't recrystallize when it cools. But a regular recipe for toffee is a bunch of sugar and a bunch of butter. I put them together and I kept trying this recipe using the same amounts. Well, I wish I was better at science because I'm guessing it has something to do with allulose being hygroscopic and having more moisture. Allulose can only handle so much butter in a recipe. It is really very simple. It was just figuring out the ratios. Okay, so a normal toffee recipe is a cup of sugar and a cup of butter. So I kept trying that and it kept being a disaster because you got to cook our sugar to a higher temperature than regular sugar in order to get it to crack and to be like a hard toffee. So every time I did it, once I got up to the temperature we needed, the butter would completely separate and the sweetener would burn. So I had to keep minusing the butter until I got it right. I might even do more experimenting with this in the future. I'm wondering if I can add butter later. And also someone talked about how inulin helps with the allulose being hygroscopic and binds to water molecules or something like that. So I may experiment more in the future. For right now, this is my toffee recipe. We need 3 ounces of butter. I use salted. If you don't, you gotta add a little bit of salt to the recipe. Very important, heat-proof spatulas. These are the ones we use in restaurants. I'll have them linked below. I have never had a problem with these. I've used other silicone spatulas in the past and they work good, but they have like a metal piece that is in here and they end up breaking and like the metal comes out. The only way they got ruined in the restaurant is if someone literally left them on a burner and they just got brown. They didn't even melt. So they were just a little bit discolored. So I always just weigh everything out. 6 tablespoons, 3 ounces, 84 grams, I believe. And we're gonna melt that over medium heat. And then we're gonna add 160 grams of allulose. Mine seems to be powdered this time instead of granular. I packed it into a scoop measuring cup, which the 1 cup mark is a little bit lower than the rim, and I got almost 160. If you have granular allulose, 1 cup is 160 grams usually. Powdered, it's usually a little bit more than a cup. We're gonna add that into the butter and we're gonna cook that until 350 degrees. That's the only way you're gonna get a hard cracked toffee. So once the butter's a little bit melted in there, you can add in the allulose. We're just gonna stir that until the sweetener's dissolved on medium heat. You don't have to constantly stir it, but get it a little all moist so that it doesn't burn on the bottom there. While it's going, there's only a couple other ingredients. In heath bars, there's actually ground almonds. Like, it doesn't even look like there's almonds in them, but I know for a fact because I know people with nut allergies and they can't have them. So You can do super finely ground almonds, but almonds are a little bit higher in carbs. And traditionally when you make the toffee for like say Christmas time, it's usually pecans. So I went with pecans, but I don't put it on top. I'm trying to make like a heath bar. So I'm putting it in the layer of toffee. So what I do is just put it in a plastic bag and I pulverize it until it's super, super fine. Give it another stir. Make sure it's all off your spatula. And the nice thing about allulose, it does not recrystallize, even less than sugar. When you cook sugar, you gotta be careful because you can get the crystallization, and a lot of times it calls for corn syrup in your sugar or in the toffee for these kinds of recipes to help stabilize the sugar and not recrystallize. Now that it's all dissolved, I'm gonna turn it down to medium-low. I have a new stove now, so I can tell you, medium-low. And we're just gonna cook that till it reaches 350. And this will be your best friend because a clip-on thermometer isn't going to give you an accurate reading of the inside of the allulose. And if the outside is reading low and the inside's real hot, you're going to burn your allulose. So I always recommend these laser thermometers. I'll have them linked below. I have 2 different ones, but this is the one I use all the time. This one doesn't have an annoying beep, which is why I like it better. You just want that at a low bubble. Now to talk about the pan you're gonna put this in. I'm doing an 8x8 and we're gonna cut it into 8 pieces. If you're using not silicone, I would parchment it. I think there's even toffee recipes that say tinfoil. Take whatever precaution you want with that because it can stick on you. Even if you don't cook the allulose long enough, it will stick to silicone. But because we're cooking it so high, it doesn't stick. But I definitely recommend this silicone pan. This will be linked below also. While that's cooking, get your pecans ready. And as it's cooking, at this point, I don't stir it much. I normally just do a swirl like this, and I continue to take the temperature of it as it cooks. I don't need the scale anymore. You can obviously use a food processor if you want. I just don't like lugging out big equipment if I don't have to. We're at 295. If you don't want to multitask here, definitely don't start that until you're all ready and set to go. I've just done this a couple of times, so I know how long it takes, at least on my stove. And we're at 305. See, it's pretty pulverized. Line the whole bottom of your pan with the pecans. You're basically cooking this until right before it is burned. So it's gonna be a deep amber color. And the last thing you need is chocolate chips. I use Bake Believe semi-sweet chocolate chips. This is 2.5 ounces or about a half cup of chips. Okay, we're at about 320. Did turn it up a tiny bit. It is still just below medium though. Now that I'm ready to go. Oh, and last thing, allulose is a little bit less sweet than sugar, about 70%. So if you have a sweet tooth and it hasn't went away, like if things aren't super sweet to you, add a little bit of a liquid stevia after it's done cooking. We're at 335. I just did a 1/4 teaspoon. This is looking like it's about right. Pull it off the heat. It's almost there. 343. As soon as your thermometer hits that 350, you pull it off. There it is. I saw 350. So I keep swirling it. 1/4 teaspoon of liquid stevia. Just add a couple of drops if you want. And pour it over your pecans. Okay. Now you're gonna let this cool for a little bit before you put those chocolate chips on, otherwise they're just gonna sink. So right now it's probably 300. Yeah, I'm gonna try to wait till about 200 and then we'll put the chocolate chips on. Okay, it's down to about 200, 150 now. So we should be good to go. You just want these to be able to melt and spread out. So they will melt at 150. Oh, show. Just want them in a single layer. Let it sit until you see them start melting and then spread it out. Melting, melting. If you waited too long like I did, trap the heat in. Yeah, now they're getting. sure all the chips are spread out, that we're half melted. Melt it all now. Now what I do, because I want it to look like a score bar, I haven't looked up one in a while, but I feel like it had like the swirls on top. We're gonna cut this 4x2, so. Okay, looks delicious. Now we're gonna let this cool until kind of room temperature, and I'm gonna throw it in the fridge to set up completely. You don't wanna shock your fridge too much, so put this on the counter to chill for a little while longer. We'll be back to melt more chocolate and cut those up into bars. Okay, the toffee's been in the fridge for a while. You want to make sure it's nice and set up. But before you cut it, you want to kind of bring it to room temperature again. Otherwise it will crack in not perfect bar shapes. But you want it completely set up so that it'll come out of the silicone very easily. Whoop. There is your score bar or heath bar. But you want it around room temperature, so like 70 degrees. I'm just gonna let it sit out and keep an eye on it. While we're waiting on that to come to room temperature, we can get our chocolate melting. It's always easier to dip in more chocolate than less chocolate. The other day I did 4 ounces and it was enough. Dipping it in this was kind of hard because it's indented here. So I'm gonna do more chocolate today, but you're still not gonna need more than 4 ounces to cover all the chocolate bars. So I'm gonna do 6 ounces today. I put a teaspoon in the 4 ounces last time, so I'm gonna do a teaspoon and a half, which is about 6 grams. And we're gonna use forks to dip, so I just used my fork. So I just heat that at 50% power and try not to get it too hot. Bars are at 60. Probably would help here too is using a warm knife. I might do that. So I want these to look real pretty. So about every 30 seconds until it starts to melt, and then I only do like 10-second intervals. Okay, that was 1 minute and it's starting to melt. So now I'm only gonna do 15 seconds and then go down to 10 seconds. So that's only 15 seconds, getting melty. So now only 10-second intervals. Okay, that was 2 10-second blasts, and I think it's good. Okay, the residual chips should melt. We're up to 64. I didn't add a ton of coconut oil to this, so it's really thick. But the more coconut oil you add, the less likely you are to be able to eat this and not get sticky fingers like melty chocolate. That's why I only did that little bit of coconut oil, so it's still pretty thick. You might need to give that a little blast halfway through. I'm gonna give my knife a little heat. Give it a little bit of warmth. Even pressure. Woo, it went through. So wipe it off. So I'm just using a little bit of flame from my stove. There we go. That one was a little bit off because I didn't have even pressure on it, but not too bad. It's warming up now because of the knife. Okay, there's our 4 bars. Now we gotta dip them. I don't really want to blast this again because that's when you end up getting it over 90 and you don't want to do that. But it's only 87. Made to 10 more seconds, not even. That was only 8. Hopefully we didn't get too hot. Now we're at 90. Should be fine. You end up getting that white cast on your chocolate. I just kind of squished it up against the sides to get like chocolate all up the side of the bar. Some of the excess off, and then flipped it on and did a little back and forth on it. And that's it. There's not enough chocolate. A little bit more on. That's it. They look good. This is something you'd pay a keto company a lot of money for. I don't know if they have. I know Chalk Zero has like Heath Crunch chocolate, but it's just little pieces of heath in a chocolate square. So I don't even know if there is keto heath bars available. Try not to get them touching because they will stick together. If your heath bar is getting a little bit too soft or sticky, put them back in the fridge for a minute. But they shouldn't melt on you. They might just get sticky. When you get down to the end, it's kind of hard to get it pushed up, so you just use your fork. Okay, last piece. I'll weigh how much chocolate I have left. Either way, they're going to be 2 carbs each. Even if you cut it into 16, it was 2 carbs each. So it's just really the chocolate and the pecans. So whatever chocolate you decide to use will determine your carb count on these. 8 perfect heath bars. Nice. Into the fridge to set up completely, and then we get to try one. Can't wait. You always check, make sure all your sides are covered. Looks like they are. You did good. It's time to try some score bars or heath bars. Want to break it. Oh yeah. They are best kept in the fridge because when they're out of the fridge, the texture gets a little bit more chewy and soft, but they're still delicious. Crunchy. Still get stuck in your teeth. Just like I remember heath bars being. They're so good. I chopped these up and put them in my chocolate ice cream recipe. I'll link that up there for you. Probably one of my favorite ice creams. I did these and like chocolate chips like chopped up a little bit in there to give a little chocolate chunk action too. So good. I may venture into making these for Christmas this year. Or at least the toffee. This toffee's easy enough. You can bypass the dunking the rest in chocolate. They're so good. With the allulose in there, pecans definitely help to break up the allulose a little bit more because the allulose is still more chewy even though it's at like a hard crack stage. It kind of melts a little bit, and the friction you get with the chopped pecans in there helps that texture a little bit. So I do suggest adding the nuts into the actual toffee part of it itself just so you get a better eating experience. But you could also do it a little bit thinner. It'll probably break down a little bit more before it starts to warm up and get kind of chewy. That's what we gotta deal with our alternative sweeteners. At least we get one that is not crystallized and like sandy texture in there. It's delicious. So I hope you guys enjoy this recipe and try it out for yourself for a treat or to throw in some keto ice cream or for Halloween or Christmas time. They're coming up quick. It's definitely nice to have a bunch of heath bars on hand for that chocolate sweet craving. Let me know what other candy you're missing. I do have quite a few candy recipes on my channel already, but let me know down in the comments below what your favorite candy was before going keto. Don't forget to check out my Amazon shop page. The link will be down in the description box below, along with the blog link to the full recipe. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. As always, I'll be back with more keto, low-carb, healthy meals, desserts, and snack recipes. Bye, guys. Happy keto candy making!